Hey y'all, I'm Hope, and today I want to talk about my October reading plans. I'm not making a TBR this month like I have kind of usually in past months. First of all, I don't stick to TBRs well, but second of all, school's been pretty hectic lately, and I think that if I set myself like, these are the books I'm gonna read, I'm just not gonna get to them, and I'm probably gonna have disappointed myself by not getting to them, especially with all the schoolwork I need to do. But this is gonna instead be kind of a, here's the stuff I have going on and the things that I'm hoping to get to for all of that. And I think that's gonna work a little bit better for me for this month at least. So I've got a few categories. First I've got school books, things that I am going to be reading because I have to read them for class. Then I've got a vlog project that I'm very excited for. I think it's going to be really, I don't think it's going to be really fun. I've already started it and it is really fun. So I'm excited about this project and looking forward to continuing in it in October. And then the last thing I want to talk about is Weekendween, which is a readathon that's hosted by Gabby Reads and Olivia Reads a Latte. And if you haven't heard about it, I'm going to put the announcement videos that they created down in the description below because I just think this sounds like so much fun. I really wanted to participate in the summer version of this, Summerween, but life just kind of got hectic. It didn't happen, but based on my schedule right now, it's looking like I can participate in Weekendween, and I am super excited for this because I love Halloween and I love anything like horror and spooky, so really excited for that. I've even ordered the t-shirt and everything. I'm hoping it's gonna get here because I didn't order it in the first batch. I ordered it in the second, but I'm hoping it's gonna get here before the readathon starts. So that's the plan for today, and I will try to put timestamps in the description so that you can jump to whatever bits of that interest you. And I think let's just go ahead and start with my school reading because that's the stuff I do have to read and also kind of have the least knowledge about. So these are the books I'm going to be reading for school. I have one class that's still reading primary texts. The other two, we have finished reading our primary texts and we've moved into research and writing instead. But then I have this one class where we read all the way through to the end of the semester. So for October, we're going to be reading, first off, Outer Dark by Cormac McCarthy. I've never read anything by this author before. I know that is it Blood Meridian and The Road are both pretty popular works of his, but I've never read any of them, and I'm a little bit scared to get into this one because I read the first few pages and there's no quotation marks. This one is a story of a woman and her brother during some events that I think lead up to a kind of an apocalypse of some sort. But the woman is bearing her brother's child, and then after she gives birth, the brother leaves the baby in the woods and tells her it died of natural causes, but she knows he's lying, so she goes on this quest to find the child. And then I think he goes on some other journey. So it's about the journeys that they go on, and then the back just says, both brother and sister wander separately through a countryside being scourged by three terrifying and elusive figures headlong toward an eerie apocalyptic resolution. So I think this is going to be really interesting. I am just a little bit scared of it. So it's going to be an interesting experience. After that, we're reading The Wind Done Gone by Alice Randall. I should probably hold these a little closer to the camera. And this one is a parody of Gone with the Wind, which I have not read or watched. So I should probably read a summary for that before I get into this one so that I have a little bit of context. But this one, based on what the professor said about it, I think is going to be a really fun and interesting read. So I'm looking forward to getting to this one. And then the other one that we're reading in October, I'm also very excited for, which is Salvage the Bones by Jesmyn Ward. I've heard good things about Jesmyn Ward's writing, and I think that this story is likely to be really interesting, especially in conversation with the other things we've read in this class. But this one is about a family as they are preparing and then living through a hurricane in southern Mississippi, I believe. So I'm curious to see how this story goes, especially in context with the other stories we've read, because this class is specifically a class on the Southern Gothic and kind of questioning that as a category. And it's really been an interesting class so far. So I'm curious to see how these stories all kind of fit into the framework of what we've been talking about. Next, let's talk about my vlog project, which I'm going to go through quite quickly. But this project is Dark Academia. I've never read Dark Academia before, but apparently it is a style or a mode or a genre that really appeals to me because I have a ton of Dark Academia books on my shelves. So the stack that I'm about to show you is not all of them. It's kind of my priorities, the ones that I most want to get to if I can. And yeah, I'm just going to go through these pretty quickly, and hopefully I'll be able to read a decent selection of these in October. So this is the stack This is the priority stack. First off, we have the secret history, because what Dark Academia vlog is complete without the secret history. Then I have These Violent Delights by Micah Nimmerever, which I believe is about two boys who meet at university and then kind of spiral into obsession with each other. So I think that that's going to be very interesting, and I've heard good things about this one as well. Then I have Summer Suns by Lee Mandello. This is particularly interesting to me right now because it's a Southern Gothic Dark Academia, so it is kind of connecting to what I'm reading for class at the moment. And actually, at the end of this class, we have 2 open weeks where we have to decide as a class what we're going to do for those 2 weeks. And somebody recommended Summer Suns, so that kind of pushed it higher on my priority list because I really would like to get to it. And the fact that somebody also said that it would be really interesting for this class has kind of heightened my interest in it. Then I've got Babel by R.F. Kwong, which is the newest release on this stack. This is a fantasy story set at Oxford, and I'm about to drop it. Everything that I've heard about this book tells me that I should love it. It should be right up my alley, and it was one of my most anticipated releases for the year. So this is pretty high on the priority list. So obviously the secret history is maybe the highest because it's kind of the original Dark Academia. I must call it the original secret history, like of course it is. It's the quintessential Dark Academia, I think. So I'm definitely prioritizing that, but this is very high on that list as well. Then I've got Bunny by Mona Awad, about a girl who joins an MFA program and gets involved with a weird group of girls who call each other Bunny. And then lastly, If We Were Villains by Emil Rio, which I've heard is kind of like the secret history but with Shakespearean scholars, so I think that that's going to be really fun. So then last, I'm also hoping to participate in Weekendween. Very excited about this. And I think that the prompts are really fun. So the first one is to let a coin toss decide your first read. And I'm reaching behind myself to grab, I didn't get one of them out for some reason. To grab the 2 books I'm going to coin toss for. For this I'm using Night of the Mannequins and Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. Both of these novellas have been on my shelf for quite a while. I like that they're short, so they'll be great for a short readathon. And I really like Stephen Graham Jones' writing. So I really would be happy with either of these. And I think I'm going to say Heads is Night of the Mannequins, Tails is Mapping the Interior. So, got this penny that I found earlier. Set the books down. I'm gonna flip this penny and find out. Almost dropped the penny. What'd we get? We got Tails. I don't know if that's gonna show up on camera, but we got Tails. So I'm gonna be reading Mapping the Interior, which I think, again, is going to be really interesting, kind of in conversation with the other things I've been reading for class, because it is a haunted house story, it's a ghost story, and I think that this actually works out perfectly. So I'm really excited to read this, and I've been meaning to read it for ages, so it's really about time. The next prompt is to read a book with a monster in it or on the cover, and I'm stretching this one a little bit, and I'm going to read Nightmare Fuel by Nina Neseth. This is actually a nonfiction book about horror movies, how they scare us, and why we love them. So I'm sure that this is going to be talking about horror monsters, and in fact there's a chapter called How to Make a Monster. So stretching the prompt a little bit, but this is another one that was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I'm very excited about this book. I think it's going to be really fun, and it really speaks to the part of me that loves to dissect the things that I enjoy. So I'm pretty excited about this. The next prompt was to read a horror or thriller audiobook or manga or graphic novel. And for this I'm going to be reading, I'm going to drop it. That would really hurt to drop on my foot. Uzumaki by Junji Ito, which is the last of the Junji Ito books on my shelf that I haven't read yet. I haven't read several of his books yet, but this is the one that I own that I haven't read yet. So this one I think is one of his most popular works. I've heard a lot about Uzumaki, and I don't know much about it other than it's about a town that's haunted by spirals. I also know that my partner read this and really loved it. I think this was maybe his favorite Junji Ito he's read so far. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one, and I love that it's manga because I'll get through it really quickly. I always do, and especially with Junji Ito's work, even when I don't love the story, I always find it compelling, and I always get through his books really quickly. So I think this is going to be a really good one for readathon, and I think it's just going to be a really fun time. Side note, if you know of any other good horror manga, give me some recommendations in the comments, please, because I would really like to get more into horror manga. I haven't read a lot of it. I don't know what it is about manga, but for some reason it sticks with me a little bit better than English graphic novels. I don't know what the difference is or why that is happening, but I've been really enjoying reading manga this year, and I would definitely like to branch out into some more horror manga. So like, I would love some recommendations if you have any. And then lastly, the last prompt is to read a book in the dark or at night. And I'm probably gonna read most of these in the dark or at night, especially on Friday and Monday because I have work and school those days. But I wanted to pick one more book as a backup in case I get through all of these, because I anticipate it won't take me long to get through the novella or the manga. So if I get through those, I wanted to have an extra pick that I could read in the dark or at night. So I've also chosen The Hungry Earth by Nicholas Kaufman. Nicholas Kaufman is one of my favorite authors. He's written my favorite urban fantasy series and a few other books that I've really enjoyed. So I'm really excited for this one. This is a mushroom horror, medical thriller kind of thing. You can kind of get that from the cover, with like mushrooms growing out of a skull. But it follows, I have to look up her name again, Laura Powell, I think. Yes, medical examiner Laura Powell, as the town that she's living in. It's like a small town in New York. The town that she's living in starts to experience some strange events with people behaving oddly, and she ends up having to kind of like race against time to figure out what's going on and prevent more people from dying. So I think that's going to be really fun, and it's the start of a series as well. So I'm excited about that. The sequel comes out in November, The Stone Serpent, and I really want to get through this one in time that I can pick up that one. Anyway, those are all of the books that I'm hoping to read in October. I'm really looking forward to this month, and I'm starting to pick up my reading pace again, especially because I'm finding that like reading for school is making me want to read more because I'm enjoying reading again. So yeah, I'm hoping that October is going to be a really good reading month for me, and I'm very excited for all of the spooky things that are coming up for the month. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you liked it, I would really appreciate it if you'd give it a like and maybe even subscribe to see what's coming next, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.